So this fool had the nerve to write, he was in an impossible situation. If you're in negotiations to sign your first publishing contract and the person who makes the final decision about your future tells you to remove an abuse report about her, you do it. She held all the power, including the power to shape his future. I don't want to give this bullshit too much attention because it's not just general bullshit, it's factual bullshit, but I'm going to run that part back. So, about 3 years ago, I get a phone call from an organizer I know who's like, Kev, there's some shady shit going on with the last anonymous story you posted to your blog. So, if you're unaware, my blog used to feature these anonymously written horror stories where the writer would also explain what they learned from the experience because it's a teaching tool. So he says, the latest story on your blog, it's somebody who we believe to be an abuser. They recontextualized the story in a way that made them the victim instead of the abuser. It was a name that I had heard before, so I was like, alright, bet. Like, it was a name that I had heard some shady shit about before, so I was like, alright, bet. And I just deleted it. And then I moved on with my black ass life. So 3 years later, this other fool wants to cast me in his little bullshit narrative power play or whatever, saying he was in an impossible situation. No, the fuck I wasn't. Somebody I knew asked me to remove a story where there was some shady shit. Somebody apparently was using my blog for some shady shit. And like, first things first, if what they're saying is true, then whoever is at the other end of that situation is an abuse survivor. And outing abuse survivors is a really shitty thing to do. So I ain't ask, and he ain't tell. I don't know who was on the other end of that story. I don't know who the organizer was calling on behalf of. I didn't need to know. That was information I didn't need. I just removed it. One anonymous story on a blog full of other anonymous stories. No harm, no foul. If you're in negotiations to sign your first publishing contract and the person who will make the final decision about your future tells you to remove an abuse report about her, you do it. No, the fuck you don't. I don't know how your ethics work, but I know mine doesn't remove some abuse report because of some contract. What the fuck? And first things first, it wasn't even an abuse report. It wasn't presented as an abuse report. My blog doesn't post abuse reports. My blog, because that's not the function of the blog, my blog posts anonymous accounts of people's personal experiences, and that's how it was presented to me. So removing it wasn't an ethical violation. If it was, I wouldn't have removed it, or I wouldn't have posted it in the first place. And also, no one involved in my publishing contract had anything to do with me removing that story. No one. And also, my publishing contract had been signed. My contract had been signed a year before I removed that story. A full year, a 12-month year, a 365-day year before anything popped up with that story. By the time I removed that story, we were working on cover art. We were on the second round of editing. We had a release date. It would be less than 5 months before I held the finished product in my hands. If I'm in negotiation to sign my first publishing contract, get the fuck out of here with that bullshit. She held all the power, including the power to shape his future. What kind of white savior by proxy bullshit is that? Look, I love doing this work. I love providing education and resources and value to the communities that I serve, but I don't do this shit for money. Like, and even if I was doing this shit for money, this shit doesn't really pay. It doesn't really pay enough money for me to impugn my fucking integrity over. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, like, I got a rig, and like, the power shaped my future. Like, you found me off the street and gave me a publishing contract. What kind of bullshit is that? Like, I've got a real ass job. Like, I've got a whole other job that I do, that I make my money on, that like is my livelihood. Like, the money I get from my book, that's barely even fucking gas money in this economy. So fuck that holding the power to shape my future bullshit. Look, fuck all of this bullshit. Ancient Negro proverb. Keep my name out your mouth.